Coming up, upgrading the Ender 3 Pro to the MKS Gen 1 board. Let's see how this went. Hey everybody, Chris Sergeant Taz here, and today I'm going to go over upgrading the old Ender 3 Pro to the MKS Gen L board. What can I say? Did it go well? Not too bad initially. This one actually was bad, so there's that. I got a bad board and a couple of bad steppers. So during the installation process, which I was recording, and it failed miserably. It didn't record all the wonderful trials and tribulations I went through, so I'm going to try and go over it the best I can, and that's why it's been a delay on my videos, because I've been fighting with trying to get this board working, and it's been an uphill battle, but I think I've come close to winning it, maybe? I don't know. So where do I start? So was watching Michael Teaching Tech's videos on upgrading, and I figured, because for some reason I was getting kind of crappy prints off this board. I think one of the steppers drivers is worn out. I just think it went. So I was like, well, do I buy another one of these? I mean, the 114 went okay, but it was like, well, I kept seeing everyone using these guys, and I was like, well, I'd like to be able to upgrade steppers whenever I wanted. It looked fairly simple from the videos, and I've seen a couple of different people that did them. I didn't think I'd have that big of an issue because I'm not tech savvy. I have basic knowledge enough to break stuff at least. So started off trying to print a case for it. I didn't understand the one that Michael from Teaching Tech did at first, because he had two different variations on it. I like the back end version better that he did, so that was a couple reprints later, and that's where that went. So now the board's on the back of the Ender, which I like better. Gives me more space up front to work with things. As I don't have video to show you of what happened, I'm going to try and throw up some pictures, give you an idea. But basically it amounts to, I got everything installed, I got the drivers set. So each of the drivers I had were TMC 2208, which I think I had one over here. Yep. So I got these guys. See if we can focus. Focus. There we go. Maybe. Come on. There we go. Oh, upside down. Ordered these off Amazon. I had two initially that were just bad. I don't know what was wrong with them. They weren't working. So I had to wait on that. So that delayed the video too. And plus, for some reason, it wasn't recording. Thought I had some video of me swearing and being nasty when the things weren't working. I don't. Sorry. But there's enough out there. Like I said, I used Michael from Teaching Tech's video to give me the basics on what I needed to get done. And he did cover it very well. It just didn't account for issues you're going to have. Possibly. You might have a clean install. Unfortunately, I didn't seem to have that at all. I went from one problem to the next with this. Setting up was really easy. Just pretty much figuring out where your pin's going, and they're already marked on the Ender 3 Pros. They already have markings, so it's not too hard to figure out. I will put a link to Michael's video because he does have a lot of work he invested in it, and I don't want to take any credit away because he's the one that walked me through this to some degree. I also had help from my buddy Shenkoe off of Thingiverse. I'll provide a link to his wonderful book on different ways of working with the Ender and different things you can suss out to figure out your problems and fixes. He actually has a really extensive coverall, which I think is very, very informative. He gave me a hand through email. Another guy, Silvatech, was on Skype with me trying to help me out because there was a couple issues. Like I said, I was stuck, and I thought it was on the coding end. I really did. I thought it was my lack of coding skills that was causing me the issue, but it really wasn't. It was more that there was maybe less QC on the stepper drivers, and I also had an issue which I found odd with the 2208s that I didn't think would be an issue, and it was an extruder issue. So it didn't want to extrude properly. It was like sending intermittent signals. So at first I'm like, is it a stepper? Did I wire it wrong? Where did I go wrong? Turns out I think it has to do with the stepper, because once I changed to a 2100, a TMC 2100 stepper, I haven't had an issue other than with the ones that I ordered offline from Amazon. I had to change the polarity in Marlin. So I had to change it from, what was it? They were all false originally on inverting, and I had to turn the 2100 that I got from Amazon to true for some reason because it was going backwards. Simple fix if you can wrap your head around it, but it's not as simple as it looks sometimes. And the main reason for the video is to kind of go over, I reversed pins, couldn't figure out how come I wasn't getting any accesses to home. It turns out that I actually reversed a Z stepper, the actual whole wire, because I had originally had it off because I had a BL Touch which I was getting rid of. This was what started my whole journey. So I'm not banging on BL Touches. I see the point of it, but I'm pretty much back to manual leveling on all my stuff because it's just less problems. What had happened was I was doing a large project. Somehow the BL Touch caught a piece of the project itself and broke. Alright, no big deal, right? So I replaced the BL Touch. And it was a version 2, it wasn't the new version 3s that are out. So it was the same version. And somehow it just was screwing up everything on the printer. Reinstalled the firmware on it. Tried everything. And I don't know if because of the crash, it maybe blew out one of the drivers on the board, and I was getting weird, like, layer shifting, strange issues. So I was like, well, that's where I went to the upgrading to this guy. Why not, right? You know, I'm already digging around in there, I might as well just replace it and go better. Go big or go home, right? So that's how I wound up where I'm at. The BL Touch kind of screwed me, and that was another thing I had to do. I had to remove all the BL Touch stuff that I'm in my firmware that I originally did, because I was going back to manual leveling. Because like I said, I'm just tired of dealing with the mechanics of it. I understand what people say about, but you still have to level the bed anyways, manually. You still have to somewhat manually level, and then you use the probe if you're slightly off. For as much as I remove the plate from my printers, I don't see the need for it, and I don't see the need for every time it starts up to do a level. It's pretty simple to figure out if you're off or not. I mean, it's fancy, don't get me wrong, but I just don't see the big fascination with waiting for, a machine to tell you if it's level or not. You can check it in like 2 minutes yourself. A little fiddly at first, but once you get used to leveling, I'm actually faster than, to me, I'm faster than the machine. Because it just takes me 2 seconds to figure out if it's off a little bit. You make your adjustments for your nozzle, because obviously you get wear over time with these brass ones, and you just figure it out. I mean, like I said, I'm not a big proponent of auto leveling. So where did I go wrong initially? My biggest trouble started when I inverted the actual pins on the connector cable from the Z-axis, putting it back in. There's a 3-prong side and a 2-prong side. Well, the board, the MKS actually has a 3-prong. Right there. That's a 3-prong. So my confusion happened by putting the 3-prong in here instead of putting the 3-prong on the actual sensor side, which was causing it not to want to home and throwing back errors to the firmware. Spent a couple days figuring that out because it looks right. All the connectors are connected. You're like, okay, well, and then I noticed for some reason after like, I don't know, 5-6 hours of me scratching my head, I noticed that the other two were actually 2-prong and that was a 3-prong. Well, why would that be a 3-prong any different from my original setup? And then I figured out, oh, I had taken it off to put the BL Touch on, and then when I put it back on, I put it back on reverse. So I fixed that, got the homing going, got the case set up, got it back all together. And then upgrading the firmware wasn't that big of a deal. Like I said, I was going through and making sure that I got rid of the BL Touch that I had in configuration H advanced. Took some of the extra steps in that out of there. And so far, it's running okay. I still need to work out a couple of kinks. I just needed to get a video out to you guys and let you know that I didn't forget about being on this channel and doing my stuff. I just got overwhelmed between that and fixing that, because that part came too in the middle of all this, and I like those printers, so I was working on that one too. Multitasking with problems and trying to go from one to the other so I could get my mind wrapped around it, because I'm going to review the artillery repairs I did and show you that too, which was interesting. But other than that, MKS board works really well. I had trouble with the TFT screen. I had trouble programming that. It was nothing to do with actually the firmware itself. It was more to do with plugging into the right section on the board. I'll pick here where this is where you don't put it, and then this is where you do put it. That way you get an idea. For some reason I kept plugging it into the wrong port, and then I couldn't figure out why, and I'm like popping in the SD card, reformatting, redoing it, all because I put the ribbon cable in the wrong spot. And I also bent a pin slightly, I guess. That was part of the other issue. That's why I didn't notice. That's why I was like, well, maybe it belongs in this one, but no, it belongs in the one I show in the second photo. Going from that, just remember, set yourself time to do this. Don't be in a rush. Don't be in a hurry. If you're not good at coding, there's a few people on Thingiverse, on the web pages that'll help you out best they can, and hopefully you can get through it. I don't think it's a bad upgrade. Just watch the parts you're getting, because you can have a bad piece of electronics. It happens. I mean, it gets through QC somehow, and you're stuck. So it might not always be your coding. It might not always be how you set it up. It might be a bad component. And like I said, between a board and 2 steppers, I was scratching my head thinking I did something wrong in Marlin when it was not really my fault. It's just a matter of just got a couple bad pieces of electronics. So hopefully this was somewhat informative. Sorry the video of me actually throwing a fit and running through this stuff didn't really turn out. It's kind of nice actually. That way I don't have to show my bad side of me flipping out and being frustrated. But there was moments. So keep that in mind. It's still fun to do this stuff, and it's still always a learning experience. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Give me a like and a subscribe if you can. I appreciate you guys watching, and see ya.